trail. I'm not sure if I'm gonna make it there. You can try me on my telephone. I might be gone by then, baby, you should know. And if it happens again, I don't plan to stay. And if it happens again, if it happens again, I don't plan to stay. And if it happens again, and I'm lying awake and I'm screaming at the sky. Oh, I might die, and my broken down dreams, they come screaming at me, saying, oh, time to fight, time to fight.
The views expressed in the following show are of the host, the guest, and the callers. The content of the following show, its accuracy, authenticity, and the ramifications of the use or application of said content is the responsibility of those speaking and listening, not the broadcast medium.
All right, we are back in live Feet to the Fire. I am your host, James Althayanchik, the Black Knight of Talk Radio. We are live in year 17 of this little journey. Now, my theme tonight is, what color is your pill? Now, it's important because depending upon the color of your pill is how you are going to be looking at the recent events and the future events to come. Recent events meaning the departure of Epstein and how you look at it. Now, it's very interesting stuff has come up, and I'm going to go through it once I make my case here. I want to talk about this because it's very important. I think we're at I guess we're going to get more important as time goes on, but it seems like every corner I turn, we seem to be in a higher risk environment of getting completely lost in the delusional reality that surrounds us. Stakes are higher, it seems, and the game is being played faster and harder and nastier. And I guess more honest. I mean, if you think about it, an honest, evil individual would be honest about the evil or whatever. So I want to run through this. Rather than go through the news first, I want to run through this my little talk here first, then go through some of the news items if it seems good for you. So let me switch to the page. Which is your pill? I'm going to go through each pill. Now, after doing all of this and making through all these pictures and doing through all the stuff, I realized that the white pill might be assumed the white nationalist, supremacist, or whatever knucklehead. I mean, if the OK sign is that, and the black has nothing to do with African Americans or whatever. It's completely. You'll see when I go through it. But just before I did a show, I sat back and I go, you know what? Some knucklehead. If I was important enough, somebody would use this as some kind of a white supremacist goofy thing. But anyway, which color's your pill? Because which color pill that you've taken, and this is, of course, a metaphor, taken from the Matrix and other things. But if how you going to view the world will decide how you handle the incoming information. I mean, I'm not thinking I'm saying anything dramatic, but if you actually sit back without judgment and look at the posts having to do with Epstein, it's remarkable what's going on. And so I wanted to go through these one by one. And now I'm going to have some Bible verses, but for those who know me, I'm not a Bible thumper. There's a lot of good philosophical truth in there, Jesus being the foremost. So it's, if you're going to get all bent out of shape about that, I don't know what to tell you. But, I mean, obviously you don't listen to the show and don't know, but there are some Bible verses associated with this. I'd rather use the word Bible verse. I'm not apologizing for it, but I would rather just use wisdom, spiritual wisdom. That's what it is, actually. So we want to start out with. Actually, I did them backwards on this picture. I should start with the blue pill, because if you go to the Matrix, the blue pill is when Neo was shown from Morpheus the reality, the options of going to see the reality of the world, or you can have the blue pill and go back asleep and go back into the Matrix. So the blue pill is associated with ignoring the realities and the using of you for your energy, your debt potential, I guess, your potential to make money and spend money and borrow money, I guess, would be the potential energy that is used by our system, where you have on the spiritual level, the spiritual energy is vacuumed. So the blue pill is one who just goes along to program, is in the system, believes what they tell you on TV, the government, just accepts it all. It's one of those people who would not be called a conspiracy theorist by those trying to keep people asleep and so forth. But when I was thinking about these terms and I wanted to have this talk, I started getting, because I listened to the Bible a zillion times. I have it on tape. I wore the tapes out, bought replacements. And let me turn this down here. Getting my emails coming in, and I'm getting alerted to that. So the blue pill, the verse that came to my mind, and of course I have to go look it up because I don't have a good memory in terms of the actual, and plus I use several different versions. So I got the principle from it. I had to go find the verse. So it was the same as happened in the days of Lot. They were eating, they were drinking, they were buying, and they were selling, they were planting, and they were building. But on the day that Lot went out from Sodom, it rained fire, brimstone from heaven, and destroyed them. And that is the blue pill. The people back in the day, Lot went in there and was telling them, hey, what's going on here? And they just kept on doing what they were doing. That's fine. That's the blue pill. And I find it fascinating, intriguing, I guess somewhat comforting, even if it's not good news, finding how these philosophies that are thousands of years old, it's like nothing new under the sun, to quote Ecclesiastes, these things are true, and therefore they're true all times and cultures and technologies or not technologies or whatever. So the blue-pilled people are the ones who are out watching, Bachelor. Seriously, anyway. I mean, you could watch it, I guess, and laugh at it. These type of shows where I find them amazing that people would watch this. I guess it's like a soap opera or wrestling. When you go back in time, people believe that wrestling was real. Now, of course, it takes real skills to toss people around without killing them and all that. So it's real, but the matches in terms of winning were planned, and even the choreography, and it takes a person who's professional to do that. But again, referring to the winning part of it, or if you look at soap operas and the dramas, I guess all drama on TV or books or whatever, but especially soap operas are they're pretty bad. I mean, they run out of things to do, so they got everybody in the small town that married everybody at one time, and they got kids from everybody. And if you actually look at it, it's like, holy cow. So And I put those in there, but that would be even, well, let's say sports. Now, sports, of course, takes real talent to win. I mean, you got to win. There's really wins and losses, presumably, but it does tend to simply waste time, keep you from doing introspection, spiritual, mathematical, science, truth, whatever, research and innovation, creation, coming up with ideas, whether you're painting a painting, making a song, or inventing something for the better humanity, for the entertainment of humanity, for the reflection of humanity. This is what we should be doing as humans, and the blue-pilled are comfortably numb, to use the song. And most people know this. The next one, though, I might get some pushback on, and that's fine. But the red pill. And the red pill in the movie Matrix is somebody who has woken up, seen the reality of the humans being plugged in and harvested for, in the movie, their electricity. In the real world, I would say, for spiritual energy, financial energy, work energy, moving something from here to there or whatever. And so the red-pilled in the movie are the ones who wake up and see what the real thing is. However, this is not by my experience, especially nowadays in the world. To me, the red-pilled are going to have become, and this is not, if you consider yourself red-pilled in the classic sense, this is not directed at you per se, but you might want to do a little inventory. I mean, I do. Socrates line, one of my, if I was going to have something tattooed on me, so to speak, it's tattooed on my brain, it is the unexamined life is not worth living. The greatest folly of all is thinking we know something we don't know. And so I constantly have to revisit where I'm at. But in the red pill group, it seems to have moved into this area where the blue pill is following the script made by the establishment, let's say. The red pill seems to be making their own script, and now with the advent of Q, following that script, where they're now smarter than they're good for themselves. When somebody says something happens, they already know what the answer is, even though they don't actually have any empirical data. They may have a logical puzzle. It may make sense as a possibility, but it's not proven that. It's not, so this is where I get the red pill of today. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, let's say truth, or actual investigations and looking for, reality, facts, so on. But wanting to have their ears tickled, they will accumulate for themselves teachers in accordance with their own desires, and turn away their ears from the truth, and will turn aside to myths. And this, to me, is like internet talk radio, capital letters lined. They don't want to find truth. They want to find reality, but they want to have their own ears tickled. They want to hear things that they want to talk about. Planet X, etc. And they will find people to tell them stuff. So look across talk radio. You'll find somebody who will be more than happy to tickle your ears. And in return, they'll get some kind of notoriety or money or what have you. And you will turn away your ears from your senses will be turned away from finding truth. You will start to find those myths and what they entail. The whole, I use Planet X as an easy one. It's probably the longest one I've looked into, and they will find whatever fits with Planet X. Well, there's a lot of earthquakes around. It means there's Planet X by. I mean, there's probably 1,000 reasons why there's earthquakes. And yet they'll say, well, if a planet was here, it would be doing, they just take the stuff and plug it in there. I not mean to pick on Planet X people. I mean, I myself was open to it in the beginning. I did research on it, and that's fine. But when you go into a dogmatic situation and everything turns up to be a Planet X clue, I think this is the real version, the real unfortunate what has happened. And people like Q and others are doing the same thing that the Bachelor and the Bachelorette and ESPN is doing is keeping the people busy in looking into, windmills, with the Don Quixote fighting windmills. So this is something, and I guess what I'm doing is I'm looking at the worrisome traits of people in these various categories, this being another one of them. Aces over Kings in the chat room. Q sent me. Black-pilled. Black-pilled is an interesting thing. I've only been introduced to this recently. And there's a channel I actually watch, Black-pilled. I mean, brings up some good points. So I'm not picking on this individual, and I am being general, okay? But one of the downsides of being black-pilled to me is, and here's a verse here, because lawlessness is increased, most people's love will grow cold. This is where I see desperation, despair. Oh, they're all crooks. It's never going to be good. Nothing can ever happen. It's always going to be bad. What's the point of doing it? I don't pay attention to politics. Left and right don't matter. There's that whole kind of, what is the term? Ennui? I'm going to say that wrong. I heard it on a Zepp show once. French term meaning it's like hopeless. It's like nihilistic. I mean, that doesn't matter anymore. And everywhere you go, you're going to find the negative, sarcastic, negative, cynical pie of everything. Somebody goes out and helps somebody. I wonder what's in front of him. He's going to get an award, or he's doing it for the adoration, or he's doing it for this. Instead of just looking at it. And so you have this, in the black-pilled potential, you have this aspect of being so negatively burned because of all the lawlessness, all the things going wrong, and, justice is not winning. I mean, Comey's not being charged. We can go through this whole, the Hillary thing, how the coup was started, and all these things. You can look at this and go, because the lawlessness is increased, it's getting worse, getting more obvious. Most people's love will go cold. They'll become cynical as opposed to analytical. You can look at something with critical eyes and not be cynical. You can look at it critical eyes and not be a believer. You can, and then blue-pilled, I guess, would be actually looking at something with critical eyes as opposed to not looking at critical eyes. So you have that, the not looking at critical eyes, being, writing your own way of looking at it. Like this Q thing is, I'll get into that later on when we talk about Epstein. Epstein's departure. We'll get into that when I do it. So it's like, well, you're pretty good. You're coming up with all kind of negative. So what is the last pill? And that's where I got white-pilled. And again, it's not white supremacists. Maybe I should have put a pink pill. I don't know. I should have picked I don't know. But any purple pilled? Purple might have been all right. But anyway, white pilled. I did it already. But first seek his kingdom and his righteousness, and these things will be added to you. And if you look in the context of all that, they're worried about what to eat, drink, what to do, and all this stuff. Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow takes care of itself. Each day has its own trouble. Live in the present, but seek the kingdom and his righteousness. Now that's a phrase that you could, what does that mean? Well, kingdom of God, his righteousness, you could think, what are the traits of someone who would be in this? And Jesus, of course, goes into detail, giving the living in the spirit as the flesh and so on. And I didn't mean to go into a whole big thing of it. You can look it up. The verse is there, Matthew 6:33, and you can look at the context of it. And, I could do a show on that, so to speak. But the idea is, if you're white-pilled, you want to find out what's going on in the righteousness of God. Yeah, and whether you're Christian or for that matter, if you're a Muslim who's not a crazy one, if you're a Christian who's not a crazy one, if you're an atheist who's not a crazy one, you can still find these things. It's not a salvation message I'm talking about. This is a philosophical one. I have another one for white-pilled. You asked about what the kingdom of heaven is. It says here, seek first the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in the field, which a man found and hid again, and from joy over it goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant seeking fine pearls, and upon finding one pearl of great value, He went and sold all that he had to buy it. That gives you let's say, a metaphorical, spiritual picture of this whole attitude of white pill. You're looking for truth. I mean, the treasure that you find is truth, is reality, it's longevity, it's spirituality, it's post-life life, the concept of how things work in the universe. It has this positive, non-cynical, non-negative approach. You can be of that. You can be cynical and negative, and you can. It's fine. So this would be describing the white-pilled. Warning for the wrong type of pill, the wrong attitude. And this line right here is what came to me is important. This is the whole segue into looking into the Epstein recent news in there. The eye is the lamp of the body. So then if your eye is clear, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. And if the light that is in you is darkness, how great is the darkness? I mean, that's just ba-boom. Your eye. If you're looking out in the world and you're trying to understand what's going on in the world, how you view it, your eye, your view of the world, your worldview, your paradigm is your eye. And from your worldview comes into your body the light of the reality around you, or non-reality, depending on your eye. And if you are clear, if you can see what's going on and have a analytical, critical, yet non-cynical, non-distracted approach, you will be full of light. You will be getting information. You will be understanding. You'll see what you need to do. You'll understand how the world works and how things are, spirituality and otherwise. And so you can deal with it. I mean, a famous example I keep using is Bruce Lee in the movie Enter the Dragon. He's being traced through these catacombs, and then he gets into this one room where all the doors close, right? So he checks all the doors, realizes he can't get out, so he just sits down in the middle of the room and meditates. Because the lamp of his eye was clear and realized that there's nothing I can do at this moment, so I'll wait for more information or for the status quo to change, and then I can assess what I should be able to do. Of course, he's all trained in martial arts, so he's got that toolkit with him. But if your eye is bad, if you're looking at the world in one of these other pills, your eye is bad. I think I gotta, If you're looking at one of the other pills and your eye is bad, the body will be full of this bad data, the bad attitude, the bad approach, the twisted analysis or lack of, the delusion that you are looking through, living through, that lens. They talk about a rose-colored glass. Well, this is the distortion glass. Makes monsters out of nothing and makes nothing into monsters, or makes monsters into nothing. If that light isn't in his darkness, how great is the darkness? And boy, are we in a time now that we really got to be soberly looking around us to see what's going on. Because if you don't care, if you're blue-pilled, it's going to hit you like a 2x4. If you're red-pilled and you're looking at, and you've created your own fantasy, thinking that you're red-pilled, according to the definition of red-pilled, you're going to get hit by the same 2x4, probably even harder. The black pill, you're looking at the 2x4 is coming, and you're just going to hell with it, whatever. And I'll duck maybe, or if it hits me, whatever. But in that white, you're trying to look to get through this, because we all know we're going to die someday, and we're going to move on. I mean, this is I'm going to hit this 80 times now, right? And so dying it's not staying alive that matters. It's how you live. And so when you die, you move on to the next level. You're going in there with a good energy, a right path, what have you. Now, I bring this up because when let me just go back to here so I can set this up. When I go through And I use Facebook while I still go there. I use it as a place just to start out stuff, and then I post it elsewhere. But my page, I want to turn this off, turn this on, right? Yeah. I posted this, and I posted it around. For those who have me on Gab, you've seen it on Gab. I posted it on Minds, I believe. Might have been in Twitter. I don't think I did Twitter because it's too long. Given the attempted suicide that some say was attempted murder by someone in a different but nearby cell, that first attempted murder or death, that first one, maybe I turn this down a little bit. I think I'm too loud on the speaker. Given that, and given the odd circumstances that allowed someone to suicide on suicide watch, I missed the word watch in there, someone on suicide watch to kill himself without anybody noticing. Now we're hearing about how the cameras were malfunctioning. Of course, competence is rapid in government stuff, so, it could be competence on everybody involved, then he actually killed himself. But we think I have three possibilities of what happened. I have three general categories. Now, you can go through in there and dissect and add, but we're talking about three general categories. And I think which category you pick will tell you what pill you have, what color's your pill. Number one, he killed himself. This would be an amazing incompetence on the holding jail staff, among other things. So he killed himself. If that's what you think that happened, what pill would you be, or what combination, I guess? I mean, if he did kill himself, that would be a reality, and you would be in the white pill area. But he was killed. This would mean an even greater incompetence on the jail staff. On the jails, there'd be greater competence on the jail staff, and or their higher-ups being complicit in the murder planning and in the carrying it out. So, bad enough if they were incompetent, weren't paying attention, and the guy killed himself. It's even worse if they weren't paying attention, allowing some kind of construction to go in there and murder. Okay, number three, perhaps due to the near kill in the first attempt, he was whisked away. Say it was a real possible kill, and they realized, man, he almost got killed. So what they decided to do is whisk him away under the cover of death to a secret location. Now, it's broken down into two subgroups in this. Why would they do this? To testify against the world's rich and powerful sicko elite. So they're going to keep him, he died, keep him in an area so they can bring him out to testify. The second possibility along in that same three category, he was whisked away to a secret location not to testify against the world elites, and will live his life out in seclusion. Perhaps he will be taken to the village, for those who are familiar with The Prisoner. John Drake, the secret agent man, went there, and I suggest perhaps John Kennedy went there, and Elvis, and whoever else. So those are the three aspects of it. So I asked people to post what they thought. And to summarize, most of them, in fact, I don't know anybody there who said he killed himself. I've not heard anybody say that he killed himself. I mean, that I've been talking to. I don't mean like out in the, on the air. In fact, people have argued that he's a psychopathic narcissist. He wouldn't kill himself. But I disagree with that, because many a time when somebody has done very horrendous, that's horrendous, and heinous, horrendous deeds, once caught and actually have no way out, they kill themselves. They're like, I'm not going to go through this humiliation and end my life of pleasure. So killing yourself to me is not off the table when it comes to it would mean that he's come to terms that there's no way out, so I'm going to take my way out. But between two, he was killed or suicided, as the phrase is, or he has been whisked away. Either, and if you're a Q fan, you're going to be testifying against the world elites, and if you're a black-pilled guy, you're going to say that he's been whisked away to live the rest of his life out in seclusion, and this way he won't be testifying. He was solely charged, and so now there's no co-conspirators, so end of the case. However, they did, on a good note, they are able to go in and search his house. Nobody can protest because it's just him and he's dead, and now they can go through and do this kind of thing. So I found that kind of interesting. Nobody thinks that he actually killed himself. And again, if you want to put a little cynical spin on it, which is okay, because a lot of stuff's been happening. Hillary did all these things and walked away, and Trump didn't do anything, and he's been trying to hang him out to dry as far as the law stuff that he's been accused of. But I do think I do see something happen. When I heard that he was dead, I had kind of like an inner shock wave of, I don't want to say the word dread, but yeah, I guess not dread meaning I'm dreading something for me personally, but just what popped in my head when I heard he died was just imagine him, say he killed himself, right? As a narcissist, I'm going to kill myself. I'm not going to let them have the laugh. They're not going to, it's like Hitler killing himself, though I know some people say he went to South America. But when you get to this point, I'm not going to give them the satisfaction of trading me out there and making me do all this stuff. So I'm going to kill myself. So but just imagine if he killed himself, and of course I, being one who do believe in life after death, and that what you do here is somehow affects there. Can you imagine being Epstein, who is a presumed atheist or perhaps a Satanist, thinking he's going to be, he's going to be high-fived when he gets to the other side? But presume most of these people are just basically atheists. That is to say that they don't think there's nothing. So I'm going to kill myself and I'll just go to sleep and it'll be done and I won't have to deal with it. And then waking up the other side and seeing God or whatever, however you want to look at it. And I thought of that, and I just felt like there was a bomb went off, and I felt the shaking. Now, I know it's not spiritually tied to it because he was dead for hours when I found out. So it wasn't like I woke up in the middle of the night having some kind of real-time spiritual assessment of this. So I know it is. It's like 9/11. I didn't know it happened until I heard it happen, but there was still that boom, that shaky kind of wave that hits you when you're aware of it. And I was just thinking, people are upset because they're not going to have their day in court. He's not going to be punished. I mean, I don't think anyone will have to worry about his punishment. And that goes for the people running this world who are evil and doing all these things, lying and the whole. I mean, that's not the point. The point is trying to stop things from happening here. Now, if they did confiscate his stuff and people could get it and continue prosecuting, fine. But then you have now this battle between, will the power elites of the world, will they be able to go in there and clean that up? Maybe they'll just sift through there and hope they find a Trump file, or somebody that would be politically savvy. It would be politically advantageous to wave that up around, and then you can just bury the stuff that you don't want to come out. Or is there really going to be looking into it? I can honestly say, as I look back in my so-called white pillness, that there's not enough information to tell. Even though you have this whole history of things being swept under the rug, it doesn't mean it'll get swept under the rug again. Now, I understand. It's got a good history of it. And likewise, I don't trust in the, quote, plan. I don't trust in the Q. I don't go for any of that stuff because it's people just saying things. And just like a cheap psychic, you're going to focus on the ones that match up, and you're going to make them, you're going to kind of force them to match up even, in there, or you're going to ignore the ones who don't. So I don't want to go into it. I'm not even going to argue about that. But if you're a red-pilled Q guy, you are thinking, oh, he's going to be kept under ice somewhere. I mean, figuratively speaking, and they're going to trape him out, and they're going to, oh, this is the plan. It's going forward. Have no fear. I can't do it. I'm not making fun. I can't do that. To me, it's it's painful to live in a delusion. Hey, well, you believe in God. How can you live in a delusion? Well, I have my own reality that I can explain if ever really wanted to. Why I've chose that to be real, but you don't see me like saying things like, well, I could jump off this roof because, God will be there to take me. There's a whole system going here, right? And the material power energy world has the most influence on what happens. But at any given moment in time, there's always the spiritual aspect in there. So I can't do it. I can't do the Q thing. I can't. And I'm not going to automatically say, well, he was killed. He was suicided by Clinton. No, it's possible. The Q thing is possible. The Clinton thing is possible. His suicide thing is possible. So if you ask me, well, what do you think happened? I don't know. But that's not sexy. That's not going back. I can't do it right now, but going back to tickling the ears. Not tickling the ears. Anyone, if I was to come out and say they took him away to use him as a prosecution, hide him for prosecution later, witness protection. If I said that, if I said he was taken off to an island to live out his life in luxury by the elites, taken underground, if I said that, if I said he was murdered, those are the three things. If I said those things, ears are tickling. Some, this guy, no, I don't agree. This one I agree. Even all three of them could still like the tickling, even if they don't agree with it. Just don't say things like, well, he killed himself. He didn't want to stand trial. You can't say that. That one's out because there's no tickling there. The only tickle comes from incompetence of the jail for not looking at it right. End of story. And you can't write article after article. You can't do show after show. You can't do video after video. Excuse me. You can't do that. What happens is you're going to say that and you're done. That's not acceptable in the red-pilled, blue-pilled world, black-pilled world. Actually, the black pill could deal with that better, more, I think. But it's got to keep going. It's got to be fomenting. No, we got to have more. We got to have more. I saw a picture where they had a picture of the guy wheeling out Epstein from the jail. And I would say, it's like, do we know he's really dead? Maybe he's given a knockout drug so they can go take him out. And I don't know. That's possible, right? The point is looking at his ear, comparing his ear canal to a much earlier picture of him. I mean, think about it. The guy's been in prison for a while, tried to kill himself, or was tried to kill. He's obviously not a happy camper. So older, under stress, possibly was tried to be killed, or maybe even killed now. And people's ears grow for the rest of their nose and ears grow forever. I mean, I've seen some old guys who got some Dumbos flapping there, not to mention a honker. This way it goes. The ear is constantly changing on there. And you got lighting, you have a lighting aspect, you have shading aspect. I can't accept that. I can't go, that's a different guy because of a different ear thing. I can't do it. Because I'm looking at all the possibilities, and that is not conclusive enough. most likely, if I was going to work on that mind, if someone was going to take Epstein and they were going to whisk him away for whatever reason, they would just give him some kind of knockout. Like he'd be called, he'd be unresponsive. They call him in, they take him out of there, give him a little knockout thing before or after, so that he's, knocked out, and they'd whisk him out, and then they, could do it. I mean, that would be the way I would say. To say that they bring in another person in there and then do the show of bringing them out, to me, would be much harder. Because remember, one of the things I do is, what would be the easiest way to get what you want to do? The least people involved is a major thing. And the simplest way to pull it off without getting caught. It reminds me back when Timothy McVeigh was put to death for the murders in, what's that called? Oklahoma bombing. I was listening to the radio, and one of the news people, one of the news the station I listened to was WLS AM at the time. One of their news people were picked in the pool to go watch the sentence carried out. And she had mentioned that when he was pronounced dead, she clearly saw him still breathing. Now, she wasn't the only one who saw this. And they said, wait a minute, he's still breathing. Look, he's breathing. Well, that's a reflection that happens when people have this stuff. I thought that answer was, while it's possible, well, how do you know he's dead? So he's breathing, but his heart is stopped, right? Because usually heart stopping is the prognosis of death. So, of course, the thing that came from it, which to me would have more legs to stand on than this, based on the year or whatever, was that they said, well, he agreed to be quiet or play this role, and they're going to take him away and let him go live somewhere. And I was first thing that popped in my head is like, wait a minute. So these bad guys on the side went to Timothy McVeigh and said, I tell you what, if you just go by this storyline, what we'll do is when we go to actually kill you, we won't kill you, but we'll whisk you away somewhere. Now, these people on the other side now are supposedly the ones who killed how many hundreds in Oklahoma bombing? And if it would have been more successful, it would have been much more. Those same people are going to turn around and have some kind of honor and go like, okay, well, we'll whisk you away. What I would have done in that case, if I was the bad guy, I'd be like, okay, well, I tell McVeigh that. He does this what he's supposed to do, and then he kill him. Then he dies, and you're done. It's over. You don't have anything to worry about. You see, I mean, that's the simplest way right there. So anyway, the fact that he was still breathing was an anomaly, and I just thought that was kind of interesting. So, now you got Barr who's upset and he's outraged this is happening. All right, so of course, let's look at that. Well, actually, he's part of it because he's also a swamp guy masquerading for it. And he's doing this, they'll protest too much type of thing. And, we're going to look into this. And we're going to have the FBI, who was, half of them are under investigation now for what they pulled with Obama and Clinton, right? We're going to have the FBI investigating this and all this. And the other side is that, no, he's actually the good guy. And he's outraged on this because they were going to go get all the cabal and all the way up through, who knows, Clinton, Obama, and all these people are going to prison. And now he's dead, and he's outraged. We're going to find out what happened here. So, which one? Depends on your color of your pill. Excuse me. Depends on your color of your pill. That's going to be how you look at it. The evidence will be conclusive, perhaps, if we allow it to proceed. Kennedy, the whole Kennedy thing would be obvious if they would actually have not sealed up the. I mean, Kennedy gets shot. They come up with the single shooter with the magic bullets, right? They seal up all the evidence for 50 years, thinking, well, everyone will be dead by then, no one will care. Well, we still care. I mean, I'm 63. What am I, 6? I barely remember. In fact, when I went to school, I thought a Ruby killed Kennedy. I was, was the rumor at the school when I was a kid. It was first grade. But people still cared. So 50 years, they open up and they reclose it again. I mean, talk about telling So what I could turn around and say, same thing I say about 9/11 is, it didn't happen the way they said. There's a number of problems that lead to it doesn't add up, and it needs to be really investigated. That's it's very unsexy. Oh, well, that's it? Well, don't you know it was this, that? Yeah. No, we don't know it's this, that, and the other thing. There's a lot of things that are standing there, and it needs to be looked at, and we're not allowed to do that. But there's a lot of people doing a lot of videos on it, and everyone's got their idea. I know what happened. I know what happened. And the ultimate folly of us is to think we know what we don't know. And that's why when I try to be straight up and honest about it, it doesn't line up to the official story. And there's a lot of various leads to be taken up, but we're not going to find out because no one has actually come up with the whole thing. Oh yeah, we know it's the Israelis. Yeah, the dancing Israelis. No, it was the deep state. So they were getting ready to go fight the axis of evil. Well, that still could include Israel, I guess, on that. But then, of course, it's it's a lack of sexiness. But those are the options we have left. Killed himself. He was killed, or he has been whisked away to either A, be witness protection, or B, being whisked away to go live somewhere, or whisked away and killed elsewhere. I mean, whatever. The chat room has got all kinds of stuff in there. I purposely didn't look at it because I know I would lose my train of thought. So, yeah, people are talking about narcissism, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, all evil needs to do is to thrive is good men do nothing. Well, while that statement is true, if you are manipulated into believing a particular scenario and then acting on that, and that scenario wasn't true, are you doing a good thing? Bay of Tonkin, WMDs in Iraq, Libya, Muammar Gaddafi was doing all these horrible things, like standing up against the federal, coming up with his own Afro dollar for the African continent based on currency to compete with the U.S. dollar. That's obviously a nasty thing. So the problem is that it's not just that simple. Good men do nothing. It's you have to act for the highest, best good. And it's very complicated. And it's very unsexy. And it takes time. It takes patience. One of the things that makes me think that it's still possible that Trump is going to actually do this stuff is because how he has been restrained. It's been pushed out there about the whole tribunals and arresting him up. We're still technically under war. It's been actually asked to Kavanaugh that if he realized that and tribunals would be legal, he said, yeah. So you have this thing, and so why isn't Trump just rounding them all up there? Because it would fall right into the other side knows this. So they have laid out 100 landmines in front of Trump if he does it. I mean, first off, just talking with Russia was a landmine. Now, if Trump were to actually go out and have people arrested by the military 24/7 on the news, they're already hooting and hollering about him sneezing wrong. It'll be like he is a dictator, and start to start a civil war. So, but if Trump comes up with airtight cases, information on there, and there has a night of 1,000 knives where he goes and arrests all these people, takes control of the airwaves, which Obama actually put in place, where him push a button and he's live on all the networks, and actually lay that case out. So you don't have Don Lemon and Cuomo and all those knuckleheads spinning it. There's something that might work, but you got to have this is law here. If you're going to get into just a raw savagery, and you're going to look at Syria and say, here, Detroit Chicago, New York, L.A., look over at Syria. That's your future. Look at Afghanistan. The bombing out of the insurgents by the... So one of the things that give me hope that there might be something happening is the fact that he hasn't pushed forward like the Q guys say about all of this stuff. And yet it's still there if it comes down to it. At least it's done the best he could, honest. The real people to blame here, obviously, besides the MSN for being propaganda knuckleheads, is actually the Republicans in the first 2 years were as resisting him as well. And ruined that. Evil Heights. It's a good point in there. Well, another thing that gives me cause to think that maybe things will work out is everything is coming out in the open. It's being ripped out and thrown up in the air. I mean, you tell me, this case was solved. He went to prison for it. It's done. He's out living up in life. He flies back home purposely, is met at the airport and arrested. Now, I can't prove he knew it was going to happen, but, he is in this area of people who are pretty notable, knowing things and powerful. He comes back home and gets arrested. To me, that's the most weird thing out of this whole scenario. If he knew something was up at that point where he was, he had a chance of getting away. He comes back and gets arrested. So that to me is an anomaly. Well, that fits into the Q argument that, he came back to be arrested because he's going to blow the lid on all these things. Now, why would he do that? Being the scum of the earth that he is, all the stuff that he's done, why now would he change his spots? Well, it's because they talked to him and said they got all this stuff on him and all that. Well, why doesn't he go away? When you own a lot of money, you can disappear pretty good. Not to mention the blackmail he has behind him. So while that's possible, it still seems to me the weirdest thing that happened here is the only thing to me is that the fact that he came back here, was arrested. I don't understand that. There are things that can be said, but so now I'm seeing the videos and people saying, see, that's being swept under the rug, nothing's going to happen. And I see videos of people going like, yes, this is Q, it's going to work. Or the plan's happening, it's going on. And both of those people, are drawing lines based on past performance in the case of the corruption and in their paradigm, and both in their paradigms. Now, one of the things that if you're going to invest in finance, one of the things they always say is a disclaimer: past performance is not indicative of future gain. So past corruption does not mean it will be corrupt now. Now, this is where that quote from the chat room comes in. All evil needs is good men to do nothing. So at this time around, somebody steps up and does something. But remember, this is the part that turns me into the future of like electricity being turned off, people dying in the north this winter, is because the stakes are never been higher on anything in my life. Because now you're talking about the elites of the world allegedly having been laid bare to the rest of the world, a la French Revolution, where you have all of these unspeakable crimes being laid out there and the sheer volume of mass of the people crushing them. That cannot happen under any circumstances. They would rather go have a nuclear war and go live in a bunker for 100 years in a lap of luxury bunker than have that happen. It's the last possible. Anything that you can come up with is better than it. Some people have said they're building a spaceship to leave. The trillions of dollars that have been $20 trillion it's in debt. Where is it? It's built a spaceship for the elites to go. Yeah, possible. I mean, 20 trillion is a lot of money. That's a lot of money. What do you do with $20 trillion? I think if your full-time job was simply to burn it, you couldn't do it in a lifetime. So this is the situation we're at now. So what I think we have to do is we have to take a very calming, sober look. You have to get ingrained into your spiritual roots into the universe, because your physical roots are going to be not going to be enough. Because when they start doing things, people, freak out. They're going to like a one. How about the guy who protesting his taxes flies his private plane into the IRS building? Now, even though he didn't go to McDonald's and shoot completely innocent people, those people who were working in the building aren't responsible for his personal grief that he had, and yet he drove into the building and killed them. But this is what we have to not get discouraged and go off half-cocked, because they're already, the FBI came out with the conspiracy theory people are the potential domestic terrorists. They're already preparing for people to start getting wild from this, right? So that's going on. You have people who are being completely deluded into believing that, Q is going to save the day, and then when that doesn't happen, those people are going to drop out and hit the reality of the ground, depending on how high they are, which would be disastrous. Look what happened with the Trump winning the election. All the people on the left are screaming in the streets. They can't believe it happened. And they were completely wound up into fiction land. Not only that he was going to lose so easily, but that he was that bad. He was this racist monster. It's all fiction. So what happens when now we're coming into this next election, where both people, all sides, are all dug in, and it's all, my God, if we lose this now and they come in, they'll wipe out the Constitution, they'll wipe out it, which is very possible. And if Trump gets in there, they're all worried about it because they're going to go and throw them all in office, which is also possible. And here we are. So this is why I think you got to unplug from this. You have to, it's kind of like, this is what I did when I had a migraine. I kind of accidentally, and yet it made sense based on some of the training I had. I have a migraine. And it's like the end of the world, right? It's terrible. I'm going to, what I did was I took the over-the-counter migraine stuff, which is aspirin, Tylenol, and caffeine. I almost said cocaine. Caffeine. When I took it, I did a meditation to, I was able to, step back from the pain. It's still there, but it was like I'm observing the pain rather than living the pain. And when I took that step back, the medicine worked, and I was able to just sleep for 10 minutes. And when I woke up, the major pain was gone. Now I was kind of shaky, it was still post-migraine stuff, but I think what we have to do right now, the number one thing, is to unplug from this. You got to step back. It's not doing anything. It's you have to be back and ready. Bruce Lee sitting there meditating in the cave, waiting for information to come. What to do. Get prepared. Have some food, generator and all. That's fine. I mean, that's good if a storm hits, let alone if something happens for a long weekend of knives or something or whatever. Banks crash, which, by the way, they're going to crash at some point. They're so far up into a lot of fake land. Talk about delusional. Traditional measures of profit versus loss are thrown out at this point. So to be prepared, to get yourself pulled back from it, you're not there. You're not hands out on the stove. They're back here feeling it. Having a way to unplug and meditate. Find that inner spiritual guidance. Find your spirit, your soul. Now, I come from a Christian perspective, and that's what I would say from my point of view. But I'm just not here. I'm not proselytizing. I'm not here pushing this. But you have to kind of pull back from this and see a bigger picture of creation. If you want to ask me any question of how I think things are, I'll tell you. I already have stuff worked out, and I've constantly have changed it. I've checked it. To get to this point it's still a work in progress. But I'm getting better, closer to a more accurate picture. And I'm willing to share all of that. That may help. But to me, I think the Epstein death, right? Huge. Clunk. in the spiritual matrix or whatever stuff. It was like a decision was made. Ba-boom. Okay? Because if you look at quantum mechanics, right? Quantum mechanics says there's an infinite waveform of possibilities. And with observation and interaction, it narrows down those possibilities. And when then you actually make the choice, there's the choice, right? So there's a waveform of possibilities. What can happen? This can happen. That. Well, I think those possibilities have now shortened because of this. Not just it, but the ramifications around it. Something stepped forward, something moved, and those waveforms have now closed in. And we're getting close to the point when decisions are made. The future is not in stone. Excuse me. It's being made real time in front of us. And once you get to a certain decision point, you're beyond the point of changing. You get past like a threshold. So if you're doing something and this and that, and you go past a certain level, now all their options behind you have sealed off, and you're moving forward on that path. You can't go back and take this path. It's sealed, And I think what this happened is we moved forward a big step, and options have sealed off, and the future options have narrowed down. What does that mean? Well, I know. How I do things isn't sexy. I don't have 1 million subscribers just waiting to hear my newest ear tickling. But that's the best I can do, and I think it's a solid point. And if you look at how people are reacting to this, it's all over the place. News everywhere. They're talking about it around the whole world. Not that interesting in and of itself. Him with it's terrible what he did with the young children and all that. It's absolutely terrible. But so that's where I'm at this point. I'm sorry. The chat room is really buzzing away, and Ramble here is in the chat room. I can't read. I guess it's a good point or good something he said. I got it across this room with the other monitor. But let me go to finish up here with a couple of the news items that I wanted to get to. Let me go back. All right. This is general news. I think I'll do this in the future because I do general news and then I go to a point and probably people don't last to get to the point. So, and this way you can also fast forward to get past the point. I'll see if I can remember to annotate. Or if somebody would want to watch the video, reply and say when I start talking about the news, so then people can fast forward to this if they want. But, the Americans, some Americans are kneeling at the flag. They're calling it a racist thing. They're calling it oppression. They're calling it, slavery. And yet the American flag is being used in Hong Kong as a series of freedom. It's an anthem. And yet, here, let me see if I can do this. I think there's a video. Let's open up. Let me open up. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get the sound out here. And they don't ask me to do this now because I don't know how to. But here's just a picture of people marching in. I'm sure we couldn't understand them anyway because they're probably speaking in Mandarin or whatever they speak over there. But here's another country who's going through what we're actually going to be led down into a path to if we follow the left-handed path. We're going to go into what they're trying to avoid. And they're using the American flag. Now, I don't know. The cynical person, the black pills, that's because the CIA is using it to blacken the nose of China and all that stuff. Well, I don't know what to say to that. Now, if you're in Canada and you had a credit card balance with Chase, you have good news. Chase erases all credit card debt for Canadian customers. I read that. I was like, what? I thought something was screwed up on the other broadcast. They gave away the credit. They forgave the credit. I was like, I don't get that at all. I need to talk to some Canadian friends that have a talk on it. I was going to have Rob was going to come by. We were talking about security on our browsers and stuff, but this came up and I wanted to talk about this. He's a Canadian guy. I'd like to ask him about this. Like, what does this mean? There's people, and I read the story, there's somebody in there at $4,500 of credit card debt gone. So I don't know why. To me, usually the bankers, and they do stuff, there's a reason, and I don't know. It's usually not a good one. They usually don't decide to do things goodness out of their heart. Let's put it that way. But again, okay. Well, for people who are subscribed to the YouTube channel, which I would like you to subscribe, hit the bell and all that stuff. I don't keep saying it at all because people keep saying it. But I put up a video, it accidentally went out to the subscribers. Nothing wrong with it. It's just that it wasn't Feet to Fire related. But it was a band that I used to work with doing the sound. And I was going through a lot of things with my equipment. And I found some tapes. This is from like 30 years ago on a cassette. But because I had great equipment at the time, I still do. And I used TDK SAX, which was the best tape you could buy at the time, with DBX2 noise reduction. Excuse me. I was able to play it after 30 years. It still sounded good. I brought it in my system, used a little mastering tweaks here and there, and I put up a video of it. So if people want to see that, it's just a nice little thing. Going past this. I also came across Amick Williams, who you heard in the opening song, If It Happens Again, off the album Sister Luna and the Diamond Stars. I have a video. I was down in Indianapolis doing their sound, and I recorded it from the soundboard. I built a little interface, so it's not perfect, but it's better than having a mic hang out and all the noise. And so that video was up there too. I'm sure I've posted it before in the past, but I thought I'd throw it up there. It's I love the album. Now here's another one. Blagojevich was governor of Illinois. Of course, you remember it well. He was arrested and charged with selling Obama's Senate seat, found guilty, and he's been 7 years. He had his 14-year prison sentence. He's been there 7 years. Trump was thinking about pardoning him. But I want to say I was going to do like a show on this, and I got to look up the news articles to put this all together. And of course, I didn't do it. Time. But I remember the Blago is what they used to call him, nickname, Blagojevich. Before he was arrested, there was a bank argument between the Bank of America, I believe. It might have been another bank, but I seem to remember Bank of America. And there was a company, had about 55, 60 employees, and they were trying to renegotiate the business loan they had so that the place wouldn't go out of business, and then therefore 55 people would be out of work. So they were trying to renegotiate it, and Bank of America wouldn't do it. So Blagojevich stepped in. Now this is not uncommon for him. He would step in time and again for people who their insurance wasn't covering what they were going to do. They needed this thing, wouldn't do it. He would step in, and I don't know, politically twist arms, I don't know, and it would work out, right? So he stepped in on behalf of the bank and was arguing with him, and the bank said no. And he goes, I'll tell you what, you want to play hardball with it? Well, of course, I'm filling it in. You want to, I'll pull all the money, Illinois' money, out of your bank. How about that? And they went, we're not going to do it. So either I'm doing this from memory now, but I remember it was significant to me at the time to remember it. Either he did pull it out or was going to. And within a day of this or whatever, very short period of time, a couple of days, he was arrested for the seat stuff. But they said they couldn't go into detail why he was arrested. They had to arrest him because they didn't want him to do something. They wanted to stop him before he did stuff. And then shortly thereafter that, or I don't know, it was a few weeks after that, I don't know the time frame, they came out with all the charges about selling the seat. Now, they had a trial, big news media for if you're in Chicago, big hoopla, and it was a hung jury. So at that point, the district attorney said they were going to retry him. So the second trial, they had to retrial, hardly any news coverage, quietly he was found guilty. And when he went back to his house, I remember seeing this on the news, they were carrying it. He went back to his house, which he lived in a house, like he didn't live in the governor's mansion. I guess he was there at times, but he had a house, right? He went back to his house in the Chicago area, and a crowd had formed of folks that he had helped. And they were crying. Some of you were crying, you helped me, I couldn't, they were doing interviews. I had cancer and they wouldn't give me a certain kind of drug, and he stepped in and they did it, and this guy said this and that. It was really kind of touching. And he was very gracious to them. Okay, no, it's okay, it's all right, And so I think what happened was, his crime was he stood up against the bankers. And he was a big shot. He was a big shot kind of guy, big shotty guy, but he cared about the people. Maybe he cared about them like pets, like he took care of them like pets. They were lower life forms, but he still cared for them, right? I'll give me that even. That's, and he's you want to take care of these pets, you want to take care of them, fine, but you don't stand up to us. And he's in prison. So the fact that Trump's thinking about pardoning him, he's been there 7 years. I think it's a good idea because Trump may know that, through he talked with Blagojevich's wife, he may know that, there's more behind this. So yeah, I think he probably was trying to sell the seat. I mean, that's not, I think that was probably par for the course with the corruption in the governorship, or at least in that party in particular. So, though, there's some we got bad luck with governors here as far as corruption, all parties. I think that's the deal on this. So I would, not knowing all the details, but I would urge that Trump would pardon him. Now he's a Democrat, by the way. So you notice this is not about Democrat, but he stood up against the machine, and his britches got a little bit too big for him, and they took care of it. Yeah, it's funny. I got this link here. Wikipedia, you can be an editor at Wikipedia and you can update the pages. Now, I can't do it, but you can apply to be somebody updated the Wikipedia page on the phrase suicide watch. And so I cut and pasted it here. I got the link to it, but, they might edit it back at some point. Suicide Watch is an extensive monitoring process used to ensure that anyone, except Jeffrey Epstein, cannot attempt suicide. Usually a term is used to reference inmates or patients in a prison or hospital or psychiatric hospital or military base. People are placed on suicide watch when it is believed they will exhibited warning signs they may be at risk of committing bodily harm to themselves or fatal injury. But I love that. Ensure that anyone except Jeffrey Epstein cannot commit suicide. Yeah, he's going to be lose his little. Yeah, and going back to this white pill thing, whatever, it's very upsetting about this whole child sex trafficking stuff. It's very upsetting. I mean, somebody robbing a store and killing somebody is upsetting, but this is really terrible stuff. This is the kind of soul-killing, earth-shattering, civilization wiping out type stuff. And I think that there is a time frame. There's a balance. Some good will come out of all the negative, and God will kind of like pick up the tab in recompense for those who are out in like a chess game that are going through this kind of stuff. And I wrote this stuff down. I'll let you read it if you want. I'm not going to. I like this little. We've removed something you've posted. We removed your post because it's true. It makes Democrats look like idiots in violation of Facebook standards. I love this kind of stuff. No, I posted this. I think what did I just do? Oh, everything just closed. I hit a button, I think that closed the entire Windows. Oh, show desktop. I didn't know that button was there. Anyway, I was watching a video, Sweet Child in Time, by Deep Purple. It's from the 70s. I had the album and in rock. Because I've been going through a lot of albums and stuff and digitizing them and putting them in a net drive. Sweet Child in Time, Deep Purple, not known for their lyrics, believe me. But Sweet Child in Time probably had something to do with the war at the time, 1970. But listen to these lyrics. Sweet child in time, you'll see the line that's drawn between good and the bad. See the blind man, he's shooting at the world. The bullets flying, they're taking toll. If you've been bad, Lord, I bet you have, and you've not been hit by the flying lead, better close your eyes and bow your head, wait for the ricochet. Now that's it. I mean, the lyrics aren't, top shelf, but I don't know. When I heard that, I just thought of what's going on here now, and especially with the child trafficking and all that, and then with all the shooters going around. I just happened to when they had this latest shooting thing. I didn't even get into any of that because so many other people are. I mean, and I can't really add much to it. It's obvious that the one in Oklahoma was more of a left-wing stuff, and the other guy was some kind of knucklehead. They're all knuckleheads. They're all perhaps involved with antidepressants and all that, but and Satan is beyond this. We're in a time where everything is escalating energetically, and so that's why we got to unattach, because you can be pushed over the edge, and these are the guys who are pushed over the edge. Now, I'm not saying I feel sorry for them per se, like, oh, they're victims. Not what I mean, but here's an interesting case. This stuff is old news now, the way the news cycle is now. But this guy was going to Walmart all full of 100, 200 rounds, 100 rounds. And he was stopped by a fireman and held until the police got there. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff going on here. I want to say a line here. The aristocrat, the aristocracy, hates Tucker because he points out the emperor is naked, and that evaporates their legitimacy. That came to me when I was watching a Tucker episode. There's a quote by Les Visible, which I thought was nice. One thing to keep in mind, no matter what appearances may say, God always wins, and that is always and is always in charge and precise itself, right down to the last jot and tittle. Trust me, no sparrows fall, no leaves tremble, where the attention of the ineffable is not present. And that goes to what I was saying before, was that God is aware of all of the stuff going on there, and recompense will be made. And the people who have been harmed won't complain. I want to play this video for you. Let's see if I can not. I'm going to stop this. Yeah, it's coming through. Watch this. This is why you got kids and so forth being separated at the border. Check this out. They're talking in Hispanic or Spanish or Mexican, I don't know how you phrase it. No, they're telling him, no, we want you to take off your stuff. He's got shoes on like a woman. He had his long hair like a woman. Looked like a young woman. And this is what they're dealing with at the border. Oh, now it's going to buffer. Just when it gets there, we go. Ta-da! Surprise! All right. I don't want to play that. I think we're almost done here. Yeah, there's a mistake here. People are saying that WikiLeaks, the judge said that WikiLeaks posted published the leaks from DNC, and the charges were dropped. That's not true. What actually happened was Trump and WikiLeaks and Assange was all being sued by the DNC for the emails, and it was thrown out of court because of lack of any kind of evidence. But Assange is not being charged for the DC leaks. They're being charged for the stuff that Chelsea Manning leaked, because they're saying that not that he published it, but that he helped it helped them be stolen. So he's complicit in it. That's the whole point. I'm going to let the whole shooting stuff go. People have talked it through. I just found it interesting. There's the one on the left was from Texas. The one on the right was from what was the other one? No, one was the one. It was Texas was on the right. The one on the left was the one that was from California, the Gilroy deal. All right, so and there was evidence that there was resistance area to fight. Let me just skip over to here and get some stories that run here before I close off. Nice graphic. This is on the Extremist Watch Facebook page that I have. To find that, it would be facebook.com/left extremists. That'll take you to that page. I put stuff in that area there so I don't have to keep putting it on my own page. Oh, I posted it twice. Oh, it's a photo, I guess. These things have been said so many times. 1,900 people separated from parents at the border. Result media friendly. 89,000 children separated from parents at the border. Silence from the media. Obviously, it's all part of political coup. I think I want to just go through this. All right, let me go to an end here. I got some people have posted. I can't see it. Let me see if I can bring it over here. D. Cook. Yeah. Kaneda. They're both saying hi from the other thing. Let me check here. Oh, boy. All kinds of stuff. Well, hello to everybody in the YouTube chat room. I haven't been paying attention, and God bless you all, but my mind is I would be oh, did I just screw up something? I hope not. Live control room. No, we're doing okay. All right. Well, I appreciate passing the word about the show and subscribing. If you're not subscribing to here, you got to click the bell if you want to actually be notified of things happening. I did a show 2 weeks ago. I wish you would pass it around. I did a test on Google, Bing, GoGoDuck, and all those search engines, start page. And it turns out that I saw an article coming out about how DuckDuckGo could still send your information to Google. But my point was the skewing of the results. Anybody who uses Google, whether you're DuckDuckGo, start page, or Google, are going to get those skewed results. And that actually Bing, of all things, Microsoft Bing, I never thought I'd be touting Microsoft, but apparently out of my results, that became the best results as far as getting things, or a more rounded view. I'm going to check that video out if you haven't haven't seen it. Gosh, I can talk. And all right, well then we'll see you next time next week. I have a bunch of ideas for more graphic movie video type stuff, and I was like, oh, I could do this. I'm seeing this stuff in my head, but I don't have the time. But maybe I can hopefully get that go that way. Put that out there to the universe. I would love to be able to do this stuff for a full-time job. So anyway, I will leave that at that, and we will see you again next time. God bless. And like that there, as Kojak would say.